The classroom was filled laughter and chatter, a typical Friday afternoon when no one wanted to focus on the lecturer's boring monologue. Things sat near the back, her chin resting on her palm as she twirled her pen. Absent-mindedly, her best friends were huddled around her, whispering and giggling like a group of conspirators. Okay, truth or dare? Jimin, her overly dramatic friend, announced with a mischievous grin. Tia narrowed her eyes. Why are you looking at me like that? Because, sweetheart, Jimin sang. Is your turn, truth or dare? Ting should have known better. With Jimin, truth meant revealing embarrassing secrets, and dare meant, well, something 10 times worse, but her pride was too strong. There, she said confidently. The moment the word slipped out, everyone gasped dramatically. Jimin clapped his hands together as if he had been waiting for this exact moment. Perfect, then I dare you to kiss Jeon Jungkook. The world froze. Her heart dropped into her stomach, her breath hissing in her throat. What? She hissed, her face heating up immediately. Yes, Jimin smiled, pointing to the front row. Go kiss Mr. Cold and Gorgeous himself right there, right now. All has turned toward Jungkook. The most untouchable boy on campus is sat in his usual spot near the window, black hoodie up, earphones in, his gaze fixed outside as if the world inside the classroom didn't exist. He was known for his intimidating aura, his sharp glares that could freeze anyone in place, and the fact that he barely spoke to anyone unless necessary. And unfortunately, he was also Taehyung's long-time crush. I can't, she whispered harshly, panic rising in her chest. Oh, you can, Jimin teased, unless you want to chicken out and admit you are scared. Taehyung groaned. Her pride wouldn't let her back out, but kissing Jungkook there was social side. Still, she stood up, her legs trembling as her friends snickered behind her. She walked slowly, every step echoing in her ears. Jungkook didn't even glance at her. He was lost in his own world, his jawline sharp, his lips pressed into a neutral line. Dink stopped in front of him, her palms clammy. Hi, no response. Jungkook. She tied iron. Finally, his dark eyes flicked up at her, cold and uninterested. What? His voice was low, smooth, but detached. Before she lost the last shred of courage, she leaned forward, her lips pressing against his cheek in a feather-like kiss. The entire classroom gasped. Jungkook froze, his headphones slid off his neck as his eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. He stood up so abruptly that his chair crashed against the floor. What the hell do you think you are doing? He growled, his voice laced with fury. The young stumbled back, her heart pounding. It was just a dare? He cut her off sharply. You think I'm some kind of joke to play games with? The room fell silent, tension hanging thick in the air. His glare burned into her, and for the first time she wished she could disappear. Without another word, Jungkook grabbed his bag and stormed out of the classroom, slamming the door behind him. The silence shattered with nervous giggles and whispers. Oh my god, you are dead! Jimin whispered, half amused and half horrified. Taeyang sank back into her seat, her face buried in her hands. She had just kissed her crush and he hated her for it. For the next few days, Jungkook avoided her like the plague. He didn't look at her, didn't acknowledge her presence, and when their eyes accidentally met, his glare was sharp enough to cut glass. Taeyang felt miserable. She had no mean to humiliate him or herself, but the damage was done. One evening, she was sitting in her room sulking when her mother called her downstairs. Tay, come greet our guest. She sighed, dragging herself down the stairs. Guests were the last thing she wanted right now, but when she reached the living room, her heart stopped. Sitting on the sofa just in a black shirt and fitted trousers was none other than Jeon Jungkook. Her jaw dropped. Her father beamed. Ah, here she is, saying, meet Jungkook. He is the son of an old friend of mine. Meet him? She had already kissed him in front of half the class. Jungkook's eyes flicked to her, cold and unreadable. He gave a stiff bow to her parents but didn't say a word. Taehyung forced a polite smile, trying not to combust, and then her father dropped the bomb. We have been talking, he said warmly, and we think it's a wonderful idea for our families to unite. So, Taehyung, Jungkook, this might come as a surprise, but you two are arranged to be married. The room spun. Married? Taehyung squeaked. Jungkook's jaw clenched, his hand tightening into fist on his lap with her. He sat, his tone dripping with disbelief. Taehyung felt her heart sank. Of course he didn't want her. Why would he? Yes, her father is our family. You two will have time to know each other, but the decision has been made. The weight of those words settled between them like a storm waiting to explode. The days that followed were pure torture. Their parents acted as if everything was perfect, planning dinners and discussing wedding preparations. Taehyung and Jungkook, on the other hand, could barely stand being in the same room. One evening, after yet another awkward family dinner, Taehyung found herself cornered in the garden. Listen, Jungkook's face was sharp, his eyes burning with irritation. I don't know what kind of game the universe is playing, but let's get one thing straight. I don't like you, and I sure as hell don't want to marry you. Taehyung said ash, but she lifted her chin, refusing to let him see her hurt. You think I want this? You think I'm happy about being forced into this situation? Don't flatter yourself, Jeon Jungkook. His brows frowned at her sharp tone. For a second, something flicked in her eyes, but he quickly masked it with his usual coldness. Good, he murmured. Then we are on the same page. Perfect, she shot back, but as she stormed away, her heart betrayed her. Because no matter how much she tried to convince herself otherwise, she still liked him. Weeks passed, and despite their initial resistance, fate kept throwing them together. Study sessions arranged by their parents, family gatherings, and even random encounters on campus. They couldn't escape each other at first. Every meeting was filled with glares and sarcastic remarks, but slowly something began to change. One rainy evening, Ting was standing outside the library without an umbrella. She groaned, hugging her books to her chest, when suddenly a black umbrella appeared over her head. She turned and saw Jungkook. He didn't say a word, just held the umbrella for her. His hoodie was soaked, raindrops sliding down his jawline. Why are you? You will catch a cold, he said, curly, cutting her off. They walked in silence, the sound of rain filling the air. Ting sneaked glances at him, her heart thudding. For the first time, his presence didn't feel cold. It felt protective, and that terrified her even more. Another time during a family dinner, she accidentally spilled hot tea on her hand. She yelled in pain, and before anyone could react, Jungkook grabbed her wrist. Gently, his expressions dark with worry. Are you stupid? That could leave a scar, he muttered, guiding her to the sink to run cold water over the bun. His touch was careful, his voice softer than she had ever heard. She stared at him stunned. This was not the same Jungkook who had glared at her weeks ago. This was someone else, someone who cared, but every time she tried to thank him, he burst it off, retreating back into his shell. The tension between them built like a fire waiting to explode. One night after another suffocating dinner, Ting escaped to the balcony to bed. The city lights twinkled in the distance, the cool breeze brushing her hair. Running away again? A voice stole behind her. She turned to see Jungkook leaning against the doorway, his hand in his pockets, better than suffocating inside. She shot back. He stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. You are loud when you are angry, but when you are quiet, it's worse. But why? Her breath caught. Why do you care? Because he hesitated. He started tiring. For the first time, his voice was not cold. It was raw, vulnerable. Because I don't hate you. I never did. Her eyes widened. I was angry that day, he admitted, looking away. Not because you kissed me, but because you made my walls crumble in front of everyone. You got too close, and I was not ready for that. Her heart raced, her throat dry. And now, she whispered. He looked at her, his gaze softer than she had ever seen. Now I can't stop thinking about you. Even when I die, I can't. You drive me insane, Taehyung. Her breath hissed as he stepped closer, the space between them shrinking. You are impossible, infuriating, stubborn, he muttered, but damn it, you are also the only person who makes me feel alive. Before she could respond, his hand cupped her cheek, his thumb brushing her skin tenderly. So if you are still angry about that door, let me fix it. And then his lips captured hers. This time there was no audience, no whispers, no anger, just them. His kiss was intense, filled with all the emotions and he had buried for weeks. Her hands clutched his shirt as his other arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead against hers. You are mine, he whispered, whether it's by arrangement or by choice, you are mine. Tears stung her eyes, but she smiled her heart. Finally at peace. Then don't ever push me away again. He smiled softly, brushing his lips against hers. Once more, I won't, not ever. Months later, the wedding day arrived. The hall was filled with flowers and laughter. Their families glowing with joy as they walked down the aisle. Her eyes locked on Jungkook's. He stood tall, dressed in a black suit, his gaze warm and unwavering. The cold bar she was there to kiss was gone. In his place stood the man who had claimed her heart, and as he took her hand, whispering, Ready, she smiled over her tears, always. The end.